Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're enjoying your Monday. My thoughts on the NFL, and we'll just start with that. I think, when we look into the NFL, we think about quarterback, right? I don't think I the Vikings, for example, are I believe 5-0 now, but there's a lot of criticism out there. I think most of the criticism I think is legit, but I don't think they really focus the way I do on issues. And so we got what is it, Sam Darnold or whatever his name is? I don't remember. I don't follow it enough. But when I look through his stats week to week, he's basically a below average quarterback. And what I mean by that is in this day and age, it's very difficult to be a quarterback if you're only throwing the ball for like 150 to 180 yards per game. In the NFL, that doesn't do nothing because remember, like the NBA, the NFL during its last 15 years, 20 years rule change have essentially wiped out defensive football in our sport of football. There's just it's geared for the offense is my point, just like the NBA is geared for the offense, right? So in the NFL today, you get a lot of games, right? They're like 50, 60 point type games. Well, that's because no one can play defense under the current rules, at least not very well. Basically, the only way you do it is if you can sack the quarterback, okay? But I also was thinking about Justin Fields. The Steelers have him, and I was just looking at his stats. Let me see if I can pop this up real quick. Um, I think it wasn't very impressive, right? So they lost last night to the Cowboys, okay, by 3. Defense played good, but let's look at this real quick here. Um, Justin Fields was 15 for 27. That isn't terribly bad as far as a percentage goes. But if you look at the yards, he only had 131 yards throwing, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Once again, not terrible, right? But then let's go look at the Steelers as a team. 42 yards was their highest rusher. Okay? Not going to win games like that. And I don't know if I can see this or not. Um, but Justin Fields basically falls into the same category, okay, of what I'm trying to say. Let me see if I can pull this up. Well, anyway, I don't. Okay, I can't. I don't know how to pull it up. But anyway, guys, Justin Fields is a lot like um is a lot like Darnold. They don't throw the ball in terms of yards, and why it matters or why I care slash don't care. I'm just making a video. Is that you really can't move the chains if you're only getting 150 yards, 180 yards a game. You can't move the first down marker. And that's the reason why I think long term you should be concerned. Um, Long term, I think that's why you should be concerned, right? Now, I'm from India. I live in North Dakota, but the Colts are in that kind of that same issue, right? Yesterday, Joe Flacco comes out and has an amazing game, but they lose, right? And it's a high scoring game. I think both teams were in the 30s. But if you go back, right? Let me look at this real quick. I'll just give you an idea of what I'm saying. NFL scores. Um, hang on here. Yeah, if you go look at that Jaguars game, right? You're going to see the same problem. Joe Flacco, phenomenal. 359 yards, 3 touchdowns. Uh, Defense does nothing. They didn't get a sack, nothing, right? It was really a bad game, in my opinion, right? Uh, yeah, it was just a bad game. Defensively, obviously, very bad. But if we go over here and look at the Jaguars, you're going to see what I'm going to talk about here in a second for the Colts. This Bigsby guy runs 101 yards on the Colts. Okay? He averaged almost 8 yards a carry. And that Travis Jr., Etienne, or whatever his name is, 17 yards. Not really good. He was under 3 yards a carry, right? But the Colts this year, the reason why they're struggling isn't because Joe Flacco, who played his second game as backup, is struggling. That's not even an issue. Joe Flacco's been amazing. Their issue, they can't stop the run. And the Colts, different position here, defensive tackle, right? Lost, I can't remember if it was in I think it might have been preseason or first game of the season. They lost to Deforest Buckner, their offensive or defensive lineman, excuse me, and they literally cannot stop the run without him, which is funny because you got Grover Stewart, which is the younger of the two guys. Anyway, he's a big dude. I was trying to look for his age. I don't see his age. He's like 315 pounds. He's fairly quick. And a lot of people talk about how great he was, right? But the thing is, without DeForest Buckner in there, those super long arms he has, you could tell he doesn't make any difference in the game at all. I mean, yeah, yesterday he had what was it? I'm going to go down here. He had 4 tackles, 5 tackle assists. So that's a pretty productive game. But he, even though he's 315, he's, a lot of people talk about him and stuff. He's got a lot of star power all of a sudden in the league. He doesn't by himself actually move the pocket. He doesn't really get in there and do the job. He's quick, he's big, but he just, I don't know. Anyway, you gotta have, it seems at this point, you need DeForest Buckner in there, who's also kind of an athletic, undersized, but very long. He's got very, very long arms to basically blow up the run. So we're not getting that in Indy. The Vikings are 5-0, I believe. I think the Colts are 3-2 now. But the Vikings, if you're a fan in Viking land, I could be completely wrong on this, right? But if you're a fan, I can't personally think that you would be too thrilled about your future if Sam Darnold's passing production doesn't pick up. Because like I said, you can't really be a quarterback in this day and age and only throw 150, 180. I would even 200 yards is not that particularly great. I mean, we just came out of an era with Peyton Manning and Brady went over 300 yards like every game. And there's a lot of guys in the league that are doing that. You're not if you don't have a running game, which they really don't, right? They got rid of Cook. Even the Packers, right, got rid of Aaron Jones, right? If you're not going to put the ball through the air, you're not moving the marker for the first downs. And, yeah. And these guys aren't known for their turnover paralysis. They're known to be turnover guys throughout their career. And I'm trying to think, was it in the 90s or early 2000s the Jets, New York Jets, had a quarterback, and I can't think of his name. Chad Pennington, I think, so I'm thinking about. He was another one of these guys, not flashy, but one year he was the highest, most accurate passer in the league. He had a lot of injury issues. His big issue, too, is he didn't have no zip on his throw. And he just didn't have a big arm. I don't know what his thing was, maybe 30, 40, 50 yards. But, I mean, your receivers weren't getting downfield because he couldn't throw it. But he was super accurate. And I can't remember, was that maybe a year they went to a Super Bowl, won a Super Bowl, or maybe went deep in the playoffs? Anyway, I think he was on Madden's cover that year. You can be that type of guy who never turns the ball over, like a point guard in a basketball game. That's fine if you have a defense, which they did. They still had old man, was it Bobby Cox playing back then? They still had, what was their longtime running back? Was it Kurt something? I can't remember anymore. It's been too many years. But anyway, I don't think you can like those odds going forward. Good that you're 5-0, but that game has to pick up in the passer, or eventually the defense isn't going to be able to stop people forever. They do have some good stuff on the defense happening, but that offense, when I look at the pass yards week to week to week, it's atrocious. Even if Darnold's stat line is no turnovers, it's atrocious. There's almost no production going through the air. And that's not going to last very long if they do that. And then, like I said, the Steelers are going to have the same problem. Like, they lost yesterday, obviously. They're not 5-0, but Fields is the same way. It doesn't matter if he runs 100 miles per hour like a gazelle. If he can't move the ball more than 150, 180 yards a game, you're going to struggle. Especially if Napoleon Harris or whatever his name isn't going to run the ball very well. So, anyway, that's my sports thought. Always comment and, like and subscribe, whatever. But like to hear from you guys. But anyway, I'm not bitching about any one of the teams. I really don't care. But I'm just saying, when I look out into the great unknown, I'm thinking to myself, these guys got to pick up their production, right? And the Indianapolis Colts, without DeForest Buckner in the run, or DeForest Buckner in their defensive tackle lineup, they can't stop the run anymore. That's bad, because that reminds me of the Indianapolis Colts back when Peyton Manning played. Almost his entire year, they could never stop the run. Their best years was when Bob Sanders at the safety was healthy, and Dwight Freeney and Robert Mathis were healthy. They were like their best years they ever had. It was mostly because Sanders would come down out of the safety position and blow the run play up. Those were the best years, and there wasn't many of them. The 20 years of Peyton Manning's career was like, the stat line read my defense let up 8 yards per carry. Right? It was pretty atrocious. So that's my big concern about these teams. Anyway, that's my talk. Have a good day, guys. Bye.